Normally, when people discover this room in the Putrefied Ducts, and they find the Huntress here, they just talk to her and promise that they will give her meat for her brood. And it's a very simple process usually, because getting the meat isn't that hard, it just requires you to find the right tools, and you can get all these organs in a short period of time. But I'm not doing this the normal way. I'm finding all the really distinct details that have to do with these tools, with these organs, and what enemies can drop them. Because there's a lot of non-meat based enemies in this game, and that means Team Cherry had to make a new variable for every single enemy and boss that Hornet could defeat that drops organs. Basically, for most enemies in this game, it seems pretty clear that they could drop organs. They're just bugs, they're living beings, and they have things that you could pick up if you beat them with the right tools. However, there are a lot of exceptions that Team Cherry had to consider, like every robotic or Cogwork enemy in this game. They specifically singled them out, so they will not drop any organs when you kill them with this quest active. Smart. But there's a lot more than just robots in this game. For example, what if you're having a friendly duel with Shakra? Do you want to be able to pick up Shakra's seared organs and shredded pieces of flesh after beating her? Is that what we wanted to do in the creation of this quest, Team Cherry? Well, fortunately, it's not, because you can't get organs from her. But my point stands. There are a lot of specific instances and unique interactions with this one quest where you just find meat for a mother. And it's so complicated that I have a whole video to talk about the really interesting parts of it. So, sit back, relax. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like. And let's explore the most complicated quest in Hollow Knight Silksong, my dear viewers. To begin with, I want to point out that I want to showcase the really odd applications of this quest, which is why I am currently fighting Lost Garmond. If I just wanted to show you this quest being normal, I would just fight like 99% of the enemies in this game, because Team Cherry programmed it very distinctively and made sure that most enemies would drop the organs if you used the right tools against them. However, there are some cases where enemies should drop organs and they don't, and even more interesting cases where enemies absolutely should not drop organs when killed, but they do. And one of those cases is when fighting Lost Garmond, because for any of us who've played this game, we would know that by beating Lost Garmond, we don't kill him initially. He dies after we talk to him or after we leave the room after beating him. But after fighting him off, he's not dead. And even if he was dead, I don't know if Hornet would go out of her way to harvest his organs right after destroying the voided out version of Garmond, because you have to become like decent friends with him in order to get this far. And there are other bosses that Hornet fights but doesn't kill, like Trobbio. You can fight Trobbio and he will not drop any organs with this quest active because you don't kill him, and Hornet does not go in and harvest his organs after just beating him in a normal fight. But Lost Garmond, he drops a skewered organ, he drops whatever organ you get from him based on whatever tool you kill him with. And he's still alive here. So we have just taken an organ outside of Garmond's dying body, and this is what this quest does to you, okay? This is why I had to make a video on this, because apparently, based on the programming in this game, in order to get some meat for a person Hornet has met once, she will reach into the body of her friend who is on death's door and take out organs from his body. So, Team Cherry, I don't even want you to patch this. This just needs to be in this game. This is canon. And before continuing on with some of the odd organs that are dropped from enemies, I want to go into the organ harvesting process. Most of it is pretty clear and simple. You use things like Pimpillo to get seared organs. You can use things like the Delver's Drill in order to get shredded organs, or the Architect Crest, and a lot of those just seem pretty intuitive in my mind. But the hardest one for me to figure out was the skewered organ. The long pin was the only tool I could think of when I was trying to figure out how you get an organ skewered right in the middle. But it turns out there are two more tools you can use to get skewered organs, and they are way far beyond the realms of what is intuitive in my mind. So as I showed you, the long pin gives you the skewered organ, pretty simple, but the stink shard also gives you the skewered organs, which, you know, it kind of makes sense. The stink shard does kind of pop out and stab into the enemy, so it tracks. But the most confusing one is the needle Phial. The temporary tool meant to get plasmium will also be strong enough to absolutely punch a hole into the organs of any bugs you fight in this game. This thing. This is like a syringe. It's like a plunger, and it's strong enough to like cut a hole into the living flesh of all bugs in this world. Hey, good on it. I guess that charging up is strong enough. It's way stronger than I thought it would be. But yeah, if you ever want a infinite use tool to get you an infinite amount of organs, you need to look no further than Alchemist Xylitol and his lovely plunger. Well, now that we know how we can actually get the organs, how about what is the best source of enemies for organs? There are a lot of organs that the Huntress needs to feed her kids, so I would always go to the infinitely spawning enemies first, like these Groms in the Wormways. And they actually do give you organs when killed, which makes sense and gives you a great source to farm these organs, as long as you have enough strength to kill them in one go around. And when you do, all their organs will fall onto the spikes and explode. Yeah, unfortunately these items just die when going into these spikes, and I assume this works with all these items, but some of them can land on solid ground, so it makes it not the worst way of farming organs in the world. But again, it requires 1, for you to have the ability to one-shot these enemies before they go into the ground, and 2, the ability to grab those organs before they get shredded even further. You know, we want them shredded, but we don't want them shredded so badly that they can never be picked up again. Although, I would question the logic behind already ripped out organs just exploding into nothingness the second they touch one spike. You know, they're shredded to begin with. Maybe we would want them. Hornet, just jump into those spikes and pick up the rest of those organs, okay? But nah. The real thing I wanted to point out is that you can get organs from infinitely respawning enemies, except for the many cases where you can't. Like, you know those many infinitely respawning sand carvers that you have to kill in order to get a Hunter's Journal entry for them? Surely they have tons of organs we can harvest, right? Nope, they got nothing. You can kill an infinite amount of Groms, and they will give you organs for days. But those sand carvers, nah, they got nothing in them that's usable, even in the slightest. And I just don't understand the difference, because in terms of the Hunter's Journal, everything you kill here gives you a kill. And also, did you see that? Did you see that, all my dear viewers? Apparently, if you're just far away enough from the pit, and you just throw things into them, they just bounce like it's solid ground. If they don't kill anything, I guess this is ground you can just walk on. That's a cool detail, Team Cherry. I appreciate it. What I don't appreciate is you not giving me the sand carver organs. And it's not just them. There are other enemies that are environmental hazards in this game, like the maggots in Biowater. Look at all this meat, Hornet, ready for the harvesting, except we won't harvest a single organ. Okay, maybe they don't want maggots. There are more infinitely spawning enemies. Head over to the surface climb. Every single Garpid in these areas, where hundreds of them go by you at a time, counts as an individual enemy when you kill them. And yet, every time you knock one of them out of their endless digging loop, they don't have anything for you to harvest. They should. They are very clearly bugs with organs that I'm sure the Huntress's brood would be more than happy to eat. But we can't get anything from them, because Team Cherry said no. It's not something to be that mad about, but I just get annoyed by the inconsistency, you know? We can farm Groms till the cows come home. We can't farm these bugs, who basically do the exact same thing. Why? Well, I don't have the answer for you, but I do have something even more confusing. Barnacks, everyone's favorite enemy, who apparently are not bugs with organs, because when you kill them with any of the means that would normally grant organs, they just explode. Now, you might say, well, Kilroy, what if Barnacks aren't bugs at all? What if they're just plants? First of all, I don't necessarily agree, but even if I did agree, plants normally drop organs in this game. I talked about this in a previous video. If you go to Shellwood, pretty much every bug there will drop organs for you. So Barnacks should have organs, and they should be giving me organs that are seared when I blow them up with Pimpillo. Like these stupid flying bags of pus, they drop organs. Why not Barnacks? Barnacks would 100% have something for Hornet to take out. You can look at their mouths. Their mouths look like meaty sacks ready for the harvesting for the Huntress's children. And side note, these flying enemies are probably the worst thing in this game. I think they are worse than the Barnacks, by far, just because their flying is so annoying to get hits off them with. But like I've shown you, they drop organs. And side note, did you notice this Barnack vanished from existence? I discovered this when I was recording this video. Normally Barnacks die and then respawn seconds later, but if you quote-unquote kill a Barnack and leave the screen, they will just be gone forever. And I don't know why. This does not seem to be like something that was intended by Team Cherry, because Barnacks don't normally disappear like this. But yeah, you can't get meat from them, even though you should, and you can kill them, even though you shouldn't be able to. What is going on in this video game? What's going on is that Team Cherry defaults to enemies not being able to drop organs if they're not sure if they should. For example, you find any enemy in White Ward overtaken by Silk, these haunted and overrun bodies. They will not drop any organs if you have this quest active. And I don't necessarily agree with that either, because if you look at these enemies, it's pretty clear they have bodies, and unless there's a massive organ donor system in Farloom, I think that they should have some organs for you to take for Broodfeast, because these enemies are just dead bugs that are being reanimated. Or maybe they were alive enough that they are reanimated at some point. I don't know the exact logistics. What I do know is that they are bugs, and they have the bodies of bugs. They don't have the whole bodies of bugs, but they at least have enough for Hornet to grab a couple of organs to feed a struggling mother, huh? Hornet, why are you being so rude? Now, if you went to look at something like the Unraveled, I understand why the Unraveled doesn't drop any organs. Because when compared to the bugs above him, the Unraveled has essentially no body left. It has just the helmet of the conductors and Silk, and that's pretty much all there is to them. But for the other bugs in White Ward, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't drop organs, especially because bugs that are overrun with Void drop organs. Yeah, in a very odd design decision, killing Void masses using the proper tools will drop organs if you have this quest active. So you're telling me that a basic Silk overrun enemy won't have any organs, but that mass of Silk and Void and dozens of bodies will. Where is the logic here, Team Cherry? And I ask this kind of rhetorically, because the logic is, I think, a lot of it wasn't really thought about that way. They kind of just went arbitrarily. If you go on to the Broodfeast actual quest description, it just says use tools to acquire organs of various types. It's not more specific than anything. It doesn't mean you only find bug organs. You can get those organs from plants in this world. You can get it from void-soaked masses. So it's generic enough that I don't think there were huge exceptions Team Cherry thought to make, other than making it so that machines don't give you organs, and enemies that you don't kill also don't give you organs. Unless it's Garmond, because of course we need those juicy Garmond entrails. It's a horrible sentence. Why do I say these things, dear viewer? Why do you watch this? But yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to say regarding these organs and this quest. There were more things I wanted to talk about at one point. Like, there was a time where in this game, if you had this quest active and used the proper tools against those machines that give you the pieces of Second Sentinel's heart, their core, that would give you an infinite amount of organs, because I think those things were marked as enemies somehow. But that's long since been patched, so it's not really something I felt was relevant to bring up in this video. And most of the other exceptions, I think I've covered pretty well. If you enjoyed this video, dear viewer, please leave a like. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Goodbye, everyone.